What if your favorite Marvel heroes took a dark turn, becoming twisted shadows of their former selves? From street-level chaos to reality-shattering power, these evil variants reveal how a single choice, or a devastating loss, can reshape a hero's destiny. Let's start with a haunting version of Spider-Man, whose bond with the symbiote blurs the line between love and corruption in a deeply chilling way. Spider-Man, the Spider Shadow. Spider-Man's Spider's Shadow isn't your typical evil clone or straightforward villain. This 2021 5-issue limited series by Chip Zdarsky and Pasquale Ferry imagines a Peter Parker who never sheds the alien symbiote suit. Instead of rejecting it, he fully embraces it, a choice that slowly twists him into something darker, more lethal, and psychologically tortured. Before you roll your eyes at another symbiote story, hear me out. This isn't just Spider-Man losing control to an external force. The series explores the twisted emotional dependency the symbiote creates, portraying it like an abusive partner rather than a simple parasite. The suit loves Peter, but that love is possessive, manipulative, and amplifies his repressed rage and trauma. It's less cartoon villainy and more a believable, horrifying mental breakdown. Officially, this story asks, what happens if Peter never removes the black suit? The alien costume boosts his powers, strength, agility, spidey sense, but feeds on his darker impulses. Over the series, Peter gradually loses his moral compass, crossing lines into brutal and often lethal violence against familiar foes. This isn't the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, it's an anti-hero haunted by psychosis and violent urges. The visuals lean heavily into body horror. The symbiote twists around Peter in grotesque ways, with tendrils and monstrous shifts symbolizing deep psychological possession. The symbiote isn't a passive suit, but an emotionally dependent partner pushing Peter toward destruction. Most of the carnage targets street-level New York, familiar locations, and enemies made vicious. Yet it's the intimacy of the violence that makes it unsettling, not wide-scale chaos. What really sets this version apart is the symbiote's twisted affection. It's not pure mind control. It loves Peter in a possessive, childish way. That unhealthy attachment traps Peter in cycles of rage and aggression, turning villainy into emotional captivity. The limited series makes clear this Spider-Man isn't just evil by circumstance. Trauma and toxic dependency create a tragic horror, not a straight villain. Fan reactions split sharply. Many praise the psychological depth and realistic fall from grace created by Zdarsky and Ferry, seeing a nuanced portrait of a hero pushed too far rather than just a bad guy. Debates rage over whether this Peter is redeemable or doomed by his choices, and if the symbiote's influence lessens his responsibility or just magnifies his worst sides. It's a dark twist on Peter Parker, but he remains recognizably Spider-Man beneath the violence. This storyline stands out from other symbiote tales because it's self-contained and focused on personal horror and street-level destruction, not cosmic stakes. But here's where it gets dark. All it takes is one fateful choice, a refusal to reject the symbiote, and Peter's whole destiny twists into this nightmare. It's a reminder how small decisions can spiral into devastating consequences. But if you think that's the worst twist on a Marvel hero's dark side, wait until you hear about Iron Man's Superior Iron Man, a technocratic overlord whose threat spreads beyond just one city. Iron Man, the Superior Iron Man. Tony Stark is usually the genius billionaire hero saving the day with charm and tech, but Superior Iron Man flips that script in the creepiest way. After the Axis event in 2014-2015, Tony's moral compass flips completely. Suddenly, he's no longer a hero with a dark streak. He's a ruthless technocrat ruling San Francisco like a corporate kingpin, and I can prove it. Before you think this is just another Tony Goes Evil story, hear me out. This version isn't punching villains or hunting heroes down. No, he uses tech, branding, and cold, methodical control to create a new kind of tyranny, one that weaponizes addiction and divides society by selling physical perfection like a subscription service. It's a citywide dystopia, not an all-out superpowered war zone. Here's the deal. Superior Iron Man launches Extremis 3.0, a smartphone app that lets users download a virus directly into their bodies. This virus rewrites their DNA, giving superhuman bodies, near-perfect health, strength, and agility. At first, it's a free trial, a tech demo of upgrading your entire body. Revolutionary, right? It's sold as a way to make everyone better. But here's where it gets twisted. That free day of perfection becomes a payment trap. Want to keep your upgraded body? That'll cost you a lot. Tony charges users monthly to maintain their enhanced state, creating a city addicted to his tech for beauty and health. The result? A socioeconomic nightmare where the wealthy stay godlike and the poor wither. Extremis stops being a super soldier serum and becomes a tool of a techno-oligarchy controlling human evolution by subscription. Tony enforces compliance not just with contracts, but through his Iron Man armor and corporate power. Stripped of any old hesitation or ethics, he fully embraces being a cold, opportunistic skeptic ruler who believes tech is the ultimate solution to humanity's problems by any means necessary. His suits are sleek and advanced, but no more destructive. This is Tony Stark as a CEO crushing anyone in his path, treating people like products to exploit. Think about it. This Iron Man is a terrifying mirror of real-world tech giants weaponizing health, beauty, and addiction. Instead of fighting villains in alleys, he builds a citywide empire based on inequality and dependence, using science as economic shackles. This isn't laser blasts and giant battles. It's patented body upgrades and subscription fees running the show. Fans remain split on Superior Iron Man. Some praise it as sharp social commentary, a dark reflection of Silicon Valley's worst impulses hidden in superhero skin. Others found the 9-issue run rushed and shallow, craving a deeper dive into Tony's dystopia. Is he truly evil, or playing God where no one else should? The story says yes to both. This arc is airtight in facts and fallout. Confined mainly to San Francisco and triggered by Axis's moral inversion, every one of Tony's moves, from tech launches to societal collapse, is documented. No plot holes, no hand-waving. But if you think controlling a city through addiction and tech domination is bad, wait until you hear about a grizzled Wolverine turned hardened warlord in a shattered world coming up next. Old Man Logan, Lord Wolverine. Old Man Logan is the Wolverine you meet when hope is all but dead and the world has fallen apart. Set in a dystopian future where supervillains have conquered the United States and carved it up like a rotten pie, this version of Logan isn't your grizzled hero. He starts off a pacifist, broken by trauma so deep it nearly killed his fighting spirit. But here's the kicker. By the end, he embraces brutal vengeance so completely that fans dubbed him Lord Wolverine. Before you brush off that Lord title as fan hype, hear me out. The story ran from 2008 to 2009 across Wolverine Volume 3, issues 66 to 72, plus a one-shot. Crafted tightly by Mark Miller and Steve McNiven, it paints a grim wasteland ruled by villains, where survivors barely scrape by. Logan is haunted by being tricked into killing the entire X-Men team under a villain's illusion. That trauma shatters his soul, turning him from a fighter into a reluctant farmer who refuses to use claws or violence. The Wastelands isn't just post-apocalyptic. It's a brutal, fractured US sliced into territories run by brutal Hulk clans, psychotic Deadpools, and villain warriors. Logan's tale is personal, but also a slice of this hardcore chaos. When his family is slaughtered by the Hulk's descendants, his pacifism snaps, and he reverts to the lethal fighter everyone remembers, only now, with zero illusions about heroism. That's where the Lord Wolverine name fits. He's not a villain ruling everything, but a ruthless leader, judge, jury, and executioner, handing out brutal justice in a world without mercy. He carves out power in pockets, ruling like a warlord rather than a traditional hero. This clash, the broken pacifist versus savage avenger, is what makes Old Man Logan so compelling and morally tangled. His violence isn't mindless chaos. It's cold, vengeful, shaped by raw pain and a broken code. He isn't evil, like a cartoon villain, but a man stripped to survival instincts, fighting monsters with monstrous force because the alternative is death. Calling him evil or tragic anti-hero depends on your view of justice in a shattered world. Fans debate if his lordship means tyrant or necessary force amid collapse. The term Lord Wolverine is mostly fanborn, from later expansions like Marvel's Wastelanders audio dramas, but it fits the fierce leadership vibe he carries. The core story is canonical and influential, showing a Wolverine pushed beyond all limits. The moral ambiguity runs deep. Logan's ethics aren't clean heroic ideals, but survival calculations shaped by betrayal and loss. He no longer fights for greater good. He fights because there's nowhere left to run. Here's the thing. Old Man. Logan isn't a conquering villain like other evil variants. His destructive reach is regional, confined to the post-apocalyptic US. But in that space, he carries enough power and terror to make him a living legend of brutality and survivalist dominance. He proves the darkest villainous turn can be someone warped by circumstance into a monstrous protector. If this grim anti-hero scratches that Marvel evil variant itch, wait until you see the twisted nightmare of Captain America as Hydra Supreme next. Captain America, Hydra Supreme. Captain America turning into Hydra Supreme is one of the most shocking and controversial twists in Marvel's history. Before you dismiss it as some cheap evil flip, hear me out. This isn't a momentary mind control or lazy villain turn. It's a full reality rewrite where Steve Rogers literally grows up as a loyal Hydra agent, completely reshaping his identity and legacy. The main antagonist of the 2017 Secret Empire event, Hydra Supreme, was born when the cosmic cube Kobik altered reality, making Steve Rogers a Hydra fanatic from childhood and instead of the symbol of American freedom we know. This Hydra Steve isn't pretending, he genuinely believes in Hydra's fascist ideology. Instead of punching Nazis, he becomes the top authoritarian in the Marvel universe, wielding Captain America's iconography as oppression. What makes Hydra Supreme terrifying isn't just his enhanced peak human strength, agility, and combat skills, they're still there, but his mastery of political manipulation, military command, and ideological terror. He infiltrates the entire superhero community, tearing apart trust and unity. Using Hydra helicarriers, he stages a brutal takeover of Washington, D.C., installing a regime that crushes dissent and enforces totalitarian control. Democracy? Civil liberties? Gone. Here's where it gets weird. Captain America has always symbolized anti-fascism and hope, created during World War II to fight tyrants. Turning that symbol into a fascist overlord sparked immense fan backlash. It's the ultimate ideological betrayal, and Marvel knew it. The story was deliberately provocative, sparking debates about whether using such an iconic hero this way was clever commentary or disrespect. Hydra Supreme operates on a global threat level. His physical feats don't rival cosmic destroyers, but his real power is commanding armies, infiltrating governments, and reshaping societies. He weaponizes faith in a hero to legitimize authoritarianism, making his threat political and psychological on a massive scale. No planet-killing explosions, but freedom and justice are in serious danger. The storyline leans into official commentary acknowledging this tension. Marvel described it as a what-if America fell under fascist control scenario, with Hydra Cap as the nightmare reflection of that fear. Comic panels and story beats confirm his total control over Hydra's forces and military hardware, including iconic helicarriers moving into the nation's capital. Here's a mock Hydra Supreme line. I am the shield that protects the new order, the order that will bring peace through power. Freedom is chaos. Only Hydra can save us. It's chilling because it's not just brute malice, but conviction. This Steve Rogers believes he's the savior. Fan communities remain divided. Some praise it as a bold look at how symbols get corrupted by ideology. Others see it as crossing a line, disrespecting what Captain America stands for. The debates still rage years later, proving Hydra Supreme's lasting impact, not just as a villain, but as a cultural provocation. In short, Hydra Supreme isn't some evil clone or brainwashed hero. He is a fully realized fascist dictator who turned one of the most enduring patriotic symbols into a tool of hatred and control. This ideological twist, combined with his military might and political savvy, makes him one of the most dangerous earthly threats in Marvel lore. But if you thought twisting Captain America was intense, wait until you see the future Hulk called Maestro, whose rule is far more brutal in scope and strength. Hulk, Maestro. Maestro isn't just some angry green giant gone bad. He's the terrifying future version of Hulk that twists the character's tragedy into full-blown dictatorship. First appearing in the 1992 Future Imperfect storyline, Maestro shows up decades after a nuclear war reduced Earth to a wasteland of death and despair. But unlike most survivors, this Hulk didn't just endure. He evolved, becoming a cruel, calculating tyrant ruling a city named Dystopia. Here's where it gets wild. Maestro doesn't depend only on brute strength like classic Hulk. He mixes that monstrous power with Bruce Banner's brilliant intellect. Picture Hulk's raw force, paired with a ruthless strategic mind you could admire or fear. That combo makes Maestro's rule especially chilling because it's no accident. It's calculated, precise, and merciless. At the heart of Maestro's reign is fear. He crushes opposition brutally, enforcing his will through sheer intimidation and overwhelming force. He's not a rogue beast out of control. He's a despot with vision, honed by decades of radiation and a broken world. One of the most haunting details is his trophy collection. Maestro keeps relics of fallen heroes, costumes, weapons, personal mementos, as grim reminders of his dominance and the death of old ideals. These aren't just souvenirs, they're statements, trophies from a once glorious world now crushed beneath his iron fist. Every item screams, "This is what happens to heroes who defy me." Physically, Maestro is Hulk on steroids. Radiation exposure, longevity, survival in a radioactive wasteland, all pump up his power to obscene levels. He can take on multiple heroes at once and still win. Some heroes barely stand a chance against him. His brute strength paired with a mind skilled in manipulation makes him probably the toughest earthbound villain in Marvel, even beating many who don't simply punch planets apart. But here's where it gets darker. Maestro's dominion isn't a short tyranny, it's a long nightmare. Generations have grown under his rule, the horrors of nuclear war and civilization's collapse locking his grip tight. His regime normalizes cruelty and despair so much resistance feels futile. A erased by time and radiation alike. It's the ultimate twisted future Hulk, where Hulk stops being a tragic hero and becomes a despotic flame of hopelessness. Among fans and critics, Maestro is praised as one of the most believable, evil future self versions of a hero. Unlike some forced alternate realities, Maestro represents a logical, horrifying evolution of Hulk's story, a plausible result if rage and power ran unchecked in a shattered world. It taps into dark fears about survival, when strength rules and compassion is dead. Though confined to one dystopian Earth, Maestro's impact resonates because his story dives into not just strength, but tragic corruption. He's a grim monument to what happens when tragedy becomes tyranny. But if you think a tyrannical Hulk is scary, wait until we explore the Maker, a villain who rewrites reality itself with cold, remorseless genius. Reed Richards, the Maker. Ultimate Reed Richards starts as the brilliant, optimistic young genius of Earth 1610's Fantastic Four, but his fall into darkness is one of Marvel's slowest and most tragic. This isn't a quick hero turns evil story. Instead, Reed's transformation into the Maker shows how a mind obsessed with solving every problem can lose empathy and embrace ruthless utilitarianism. At first, he's still heroic, just a bit detached. Then trauma, loss, and isolation wear away his ideals until he fully becomes the Maker, an alienated insectoid figure whose cold intellect sees human lives like lab rats. That creepy helmet and suit? Not just style choices, they symbolize how far he's left any humanity behind. The Maker survives his home universe's destruction during Secret Wars and slips into Earth 616, where he thrives as a recurring multiversal villain. But he hasn't lost his genius. On the contrary, Reed keeps his brilliant mind and creativity. The difference is he's stripped away all moral limits. To the Maker, individuals are disposable parts in genocidal experiments to reshape realities. His plans span dizzying scales, rewriting timelines, reshaping universes, engineering existence itself. He treats life like spreadsheet variables, coldly calculating how to create a more efficient cosmos, even if billions die. Unlike tyrants craving power or cosmic villains using brute force, the Maker is dangerous because of his intellect. He's a multiversal architect of destruction and control. What makes him truly unsettling is how he embodies the dark side of Reed's core traits: boundless curiosity and a desire to fix everything. Without compassion or humility, that genius becomes a perfect weapon for remorseless experiments. In one showdown with Earth 616's Reed, the Maker argues emotion weakens scientific progress. Their battles aren't just fights, they're tragic philosophical clashes between empathy and pure logic. His strength doesn't come from smashing planets, but manipulating knowledge and reality as his playground. He's appeared across several series post-Secret Wars, consistently threatening the multiverse. While some stories withhold showing his full power, his goals remain clear. The Maker exists to remake existence in his image, no matter the cost. Here's where it turns darker. This isn't just villainy. It's what happens when maybe the smartest Marvel character stops caring about right and wrong entirely. His vision could mean wiping out whole worlds, erasing heroes before their stories even start, and ruling a cold universe governed by ruthless efficiency with zero mercy or meaning. Fans call the Maker a prime example of Marvel's best evil alternate self character. Not a sudden flip, but a deep, layered descent. Comparing him to the mainstream Reed shows how crucial empathy and family are for keeping even the brightest minds grounded. Power ranking debates place him above most Earth-based foes, with some saying his multiversal scope rivals cosmic entities, though he's never hit the raw omnipotence of beings like Galactus. In short, the Maker is more than a villain with a plan. He's the nightmare of unchecked intellectual pride, a walking warning that genius without conscience is far deadlier than brute strength. And if you think that's ominous, just wait until he crosses paths with the God of Thunder next, Thor, Rune King Thor. Rune King Thor isn't your typical thunder god gone rogue. He transcends physical power entirely, evolving into something almost untouchable by normal standards. This version of Thor achieves cosmic enlightenment and mastery over ancient runic magic through sacrifice, all to break the endless cycle of Ragnarok, Asgard's doom and rebirth loop that traps his world in perpetual destruction. Before you imagine just a buff lightning thrower, hear me out. This Thor occupies a metaphysical plane, standing among incomprehensible cosmic forces. At the center of Rune King Thor's story are mysterious beings known only as those who sit above in shadow. These entities feed on the energy released during Ragnarok, lurking beyond Asgard's reality and orchestrating its eternal destruction for their own cryptic purposes. Rune King Thor, armed with newfound runic powers and profound cosmic insight, is uniquely positioned to confront these shadowy overlords and sever their grip on his realm. It's less about smashing armies and more about rewriting fundamental cosmic laws. Official comics show Rune King Thor sacrificing an eye, echoing Odin's own painful trial. But beyond symbolism, this act grants him access to the rune's overwhelming power, elevating him to a near omnipotent state. His abilities now stretch to manipulating fate and metaphysical constants rather than just throwing lightning bolts. Fans often rank him among the most powerful Thor incarnations, capable of matching or surpassing many cosmic beings in Marvel's hierarchy. Here's where it gets dark and complicated. Rune King Thor is not outright evil in canon. His goal, stopping Ragnarok and saving Asgard, is heroic at heart, but the sheer scale of power he wields, coupled with knowledge far beyond most gods, sets off alarms about potential misuse. Imagine holding the power to alter life and death cycles or disrupt reality's flow itself. In the wrong hands, that would be catastrophic on an unimaginable scale. The ambiguity of Rune King Thor's morality fuels fan debates. Some see him as a force for necessary cosmic change, freeing Asgard from predestined destruction. Others wonder, what if his enlightenment tipped into tyranny? Could Rune King Thor become a metaphysical dictator, enforcing his will across the multiverse? These theories blur official storylines and what-if speculation, keeping the discussion alive despite minimal evidence of actual corruption. Still, Rune King Thor stands as a fascinating study of power and responsibility in Marvel lore. His battles with those who sit above in shadow are among the boldest metaphysical clashes depicted, highlighting a rare Marvel theme, fighting the very structures of fate and cosmic determinism. Unlike heroes facing villains on battlefields, Rune King Thor challenges the shadowy puppeteers controlling Asgard's destiny. Put his scale in perspective. While Hydra Supreme threatens earthly politics, and Maestro rules a post-apocalyptic world, Rune King Thor tackles the very rules of existence. His power doesn't measure cities conquered or lives destroyed, but the fundamental cycles defining reality, which, is either godlike or terrifying as hell. Narratively, Rune King Thor's feats come from a narrow range of storylines focused on Asgardian cosmology. His near omnipotence isn't scattered across decades or multiple universes like some cosmic players. It's focused, specific, and wrapped in mythic symbolism, but no less potent or dangerous if twisted. Ultimately, Rune King Thor is a cosmic wildcard, an entity with heroic aims and terrifying potential. Fans debate him because he embodies the ultimate question. Once you break free from fate and wield near limitless power, what stops you from becoming a cosmic overlord? His story isn't closed, and that uncertainty makes Rune King Thor one of Marvel's richest and most unsettling what-ifs. But if you think metaphysical godhood is intense, wait until we get into Doctor Strange Supreme, a wizard whose corruption literally destroys his entire universe. Doctor Strange, Strange Supreme. Strange Supreme is either the ultimate warning or the darkest horror Marvel's multiverse has ever shown. This version of Doctor Strange, from the MCU's What If series, starts with an obsession rooted in love, trying to reverse the death of Christine Palmer. But before you think that sounds heroic, hear me out. His grief drives him to a place no other hero has gone. In the episode What If Doctor Strange lost his heart instead of his hands, Strange tries everything to save Christine but hits a cosmic wall. Her death is what the show calls an immutable absolute point. That's the fancy way of saying some events are fixed in time, no matter how powerful you get. So, Strange goes rogue, absorbing mystical beings to increase his power drastically, changing not just how he looks, warped, monstrous even, but his very essence. Officially, Strange Supreme's power grows to nearly godlike levels. He manipulates reality on a whim, tears through dimensions, and even confronts versions of himself. It's power on a scale that unhinges reality itself. But here's where it gets weird and tragic. In trying to undo Christine's death, Strange Supreme fractures and ultimately causes the collapse of his entire universe on screen. Not just a city or a planet, his whole universe implodes, turning to dust because of one man's unwillingness to accept loss. After this cataclysmic destruction, what's left of Strange Supreme is a tiny crystal shard of reality, trapped and alone, burdened with guilt and the unbearable knowledge that he doomed everyone he ever cared about. It's a prison worse than any physical cage. He is the sole survivor of his own apocalypse. His immense but unstable power embodies the terrible consequences of unchecked hubris, mixed with unbearable grief. The emotional weight here is staggering. Strange Supreme isn't just about raw cosmic threat. He's the embodiment of what happens when love turns obsessive, and magic becomes a weapon without limits. This isn't just villainy or evil for its own sake. It's a heartbreaking descent into ruin born from a refusal to let go. In the fan community, Strange Supreme's story is often hailed as the darkest and most emotionally powerful tale in What If? There's lively debate over whether he should be classified as an evil villain or a tragic figure crushed by grief. Many argue his actions, while catastrophic, come from very human pain rather than pure malice. Others remind us that the scale of destruction he unleashes leaves no room for sympathy. Millions of lives sacrificed for one person's denial of death. What really sets Strange Supreme apart is that his power is immense but inherently unstable. The show makes it clear there are cosmic rules even magic can't break without shattering everything. Strange Supreme tries to defy the absolute point, and reality pushes back with an apocalyptic explosion. So his story is both a cosmic horror and a cautionary fable about limits and acceptance. Here's the kicker. None of the other evil variants in Marvel's multiverse explicitly destroy their entire realities on screen. Rune King Thor might reshape Asgard's cosmic fate. The Maker dreams of remaking universes. Hulk's Maestro rules a nuclear wasteland. But Strange Supreme outright ends his universe's existence. This brutal finality makes him the most universally threatening variant, the full realization of catastrophic hubristic magic, wielded without humility. In the end, Strange Supreme is the darkest reflection of Doctor Strange's core dilemma. How do you cope when the magic you wield can't fix the unfixable? His story doesn't just entertain, it haunts. A hero turned cosmic monster, left alone in the rubble of his catastrophic denial. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more, click the video on the screen now.